When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
And get Money Mouth Face emoji with 2 orders of crispy, irresistible 10-piece McNuggets, spicy or classic, for just $6. Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
All right, everybody, listen up very carefully. Listen very carefully. Go ahead and bring the music down. This is very important. Listen very carefully. Right now, stop what you're doing and listen. Listen to what I'm about to say. Right now, I have for sale a pair of Eclipse glasses. They're like new. They've only been worn one time. If you would like to purchase a pair of Eclipse glasses, be my first caller at 844-580-WDBO. Laurel, what do you suppose I should sell those for? Like $20? That seems reasonable, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll need them again when? In like 30 years from now?
2045, yes.
2045. Tell everybody what you said earlier when we were looking at the eclipse about your baby.
Oh, yes. So the baby in my tummy right now, he will be able to drink by the next time an eclipse comes over Florida.
And you mean drink alcohol, not just drink milk?
Yes.
Just
He'll be able to drink alcohol by the next time this happens again.
I'm sorry. Something that you just said caught my attention. You used a pronoun in describing the thing that's in your tummy.
Yes, I don't still know yet. We're hoping it's a boy, so I don't really know.
Okay, so you're using the he pronoun, but you have not had the gender reveal yet.
May 10th, I will do the gender reveal.
That is more than a month away from now.
Yes. Well, we want to do it specifically, and we have multiple players involved, and that's when everybody could get together. So
that is terrible.
Well,
now, do other people know?
One person knows.
One person knows.
That's you. You know.
I know. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to know.
You can know. So it's terrible for Joe because Joe has to keep a secret for another month.
This is so dumb, but I know the gender of Laurel's baby. I saw it, and I have to sit on this. This is driving me crazy.
Yeah, sorry. That's what you get for wanting to know information.
I've got to keep this secret, and I can't tell anybody this secret that I know. I know the gender of your baby.
Yep.
So you caught me off guard when you said he.
Oh. Well, you told me before it was a girl, so I think you're just messing with me now.
Right. No, so what I told Laurel before I oddly became the one person on the planet who knew the gender of the baby, I said, I am 100% certain you're going to have a girl. 100% certain you're going to have a girl. And then after I found out what the gender was, I said to Laurel, no matter what the gender is that I see, I am still going to say that you're having a girl. So if it says you're having a boy, I'm still going to say you're having a girl. If it says you're having a girl, I'm still going to say you're having a girl. So Laurel, I'm telling you right now, you're having a girl.
Okay.
So you're having a girl, so you better get girl clothes and stuff like that. By the way, subject change, pivot. For those who have inquired, you'll be glad to know I just started my seasonal allergy medicine today. I should have started it like a month ago, and I kept thinking, oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. But my scratchy voice is 100% seasonal allergies. And so I just started my Claritin or whatever it is today, and I hope within the next few days my voice will sound a little bit better. Does anybody besides me, does anybody's eyes hurt besides mine? My eyes hurt a little bit.
Mine do too, and I don't typically have allergy problems, but I'm like, oh, why do my eyes hurt?
And I don't mean allergy hurt. I mean they hurt from looking at the eclipse.
Oh.
And I didn't look at the eclipse per se, but I would look up at the eclipse, and then I would, make sure my glasses were on correctly. And I think in that, brief millisecond or two in which I was adjusting my glasses, I feel like I got the sun in my eyes. So now I need to go see like an eye doctor. Do you think eye doctors are going to be really busy tomorrow?
Yeah, probably. I would bet, like I said while we were watching the eclipse, that it's going to be mostly teens. Particularly, I'm going to guess teen boys who are daring each other to stare at it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a thing that happens.
That does sound like a thing that as a father of teenage boys, that does sound like something that teenage boys would in fact do. All right. I'm so glad you're joining us here on this. What is today? Is it Monday? Is it already Monday? How is it already Monday? This week just goes by so fast. It is time for the presidential pinger. We have secretly hidden GPS trackers on the U.S. presidential candidates so that we can follow their movements around the United States. We call it the Joe Kelley presidential pinger, and we ping them right now. We got a few states are going to be voting from now to June. I'm telling you right now, I would list the states and win, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about the rest of the states that are voting because it is a foregone conclusion as to who the candidates are going to be. We're 98 days away from the Republican convention in Milwaukee. We're 133 days away from the Democratic convention in Chicago. We're 211 days away from the general election. Former President Trump announced his position on whether abortion should be banned this morning in a 4-minute video on Truth Social. Here is 35 seconds out of that 4-minute video.
My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart or, in many cases, your religion or your faith.
So that was Donald Trump on abortion, and a lot of people are mad at Donald Trump. There are a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives that are mad at Donald Trump because of that statement on abortion. They really thought that Donald Trump would lead the campaign for a 6-week abortion ban, a 10-week abortion, a 12-week, whatever it is. They really thought that Donald Trump was going to be the guy that did that, and he really took kind of a populist view on it rather than an ideological view on it. And Democrats are displeased with Donald Trump no matter what. They were hoping that Donald Trump might support some sort of liberal stance on abortion, but instead he made it a states' rights issue, which, for me personally, as someone who is libertarian on abortion matters, I'm glad to see it given to the states. But what do you think? Do you think that Donald Trump should have taken a more conservative position on abortion? 844-580-WDBO, or you can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Meanwhile, Joe Biden releases a digital ad ahead of his multi-billion-dollar giveaway to buy votes of student debt holders.
From day one, my administration has been committed to fixing the broken student loan system and making sure higher education is a ticket to the middle class, not a barrier. My administration has approved debt cancellation for 4 million Americans through various actions. And today, I'm announcing new plans that would cancel student debt for millions more. In total, these plans would cancel some or all student debt for 30 million Americans when combined with everything we've done so far. To find out how these plans may impact you, visit studentaid.gov.
Now, I find it thoroughly outrageous, absolutely outrageous and wrong on every imaginable level that Joe Biden keeps thwarting the will of the Supreme Court and continuing to dole out your money, my money, our taxpayer dollars to pay off the debts that we did not incur, to pay for college loans that we did not benefit from. We did not get to go to college, or we did not, or we went to college and paid for our own, tuition. I paid as I went. Of course, when I went to school, I went to something that was just slightly above community college. Lamar University is slightly above community college, and I was able to pay as I go. In fact, I was able to pay with my radio job as I went. Now, admittedly, college is a lot more expensive these days, but still, for people who didn't take the college route and instead went to a vocational school or went straight to work on the farm, and you're buying a tractor or you're buying other equipment for your job, you're buying tools or anything else like that, you're not getting reimbursed for that, and that is a crying shame. It's not that you should be getting reimbursed for that. It's that college debt holders should not be having their debt. And it's not forgiven. It's not that the debt is forgiven. It's that the debt is being paid by somebody else. It's being paid by you. You got up and went to work today. You got up and worked hard all day today to come home so that you could put a little bit of food on your family's table, and so that you could pay for the college education that you didn't get and you didn't sign up for. Finally, here on the Presidential Pinger, I found this today. I thought you guys would love this. A liberal TikToker creates this video lambasting Donald Trump. She thinks she is just tearing Donald Trump a new one. But if you listen closely, I would argue that this liberal TikToker has unintentionally created an amazing Donald Trump campaign ad. So take a listen. It's about 2 minutes long. Listen in as she rips Donald a new one. But isn't she actually expanding upon all the reasons why conservatives are supporting Donald Trump?
Hear what Trump will actually do if he gets back into office? You don't have to speculate, because he calls his plan Agenda 47. And spoiler alert, it's scary as shit. Here's some of the worst ideas we're in store for if he wins in November. 1. Attacking immigration. Trump's anti-immigration policies will be even worse the second time around. He's promised to end birthright citizenship, enlist an army to round up and deport millions of undocumented immigrants, and deploy thousands of U.S. troops to the southern border. 2. Criminalizing LGBTQIA plus Americans. Trump says he'll ban gender-affirming care for trans kids and prevent schools from helping kids through their transition. He wants to forbid schools from even teaching anything about sex and gender that diverges from the far-right's idea of the nuclear family. 3. Overhauling education. Agenda 47 includes huge changes to the education system. He wants to give huge benefits for homeschooling to indoctrinate kids with Christian nationalism, incentivize teachers to carry guns in their classrooms, further crack down on affirmative action, and destroy crucial DEI departments at colleges and universities. 4. Restoring racist crime policies. Criminal legal system reform will be off the table if Trump becomes president. He promised to bring back racist policies like stop and frisk and other ineffective and discriminatory tough-on-crime tactics that have failed in the past. He also wants to increase protections for power-abusing police while rolling back hard-fought-for reforms and institute the death penalty for low-level crimes like drug dealing. 5. Weaponizing the government. The scariest part might be Trump's threat to more or less dismantle the federal government. If he gets back in office, he's going to purge anyone who could possibly stand up to him and replace them with MAGA loyalists like Stephen Miller. He's going to prosecute his political enemies using traditionally independent orgs like the DOJ as his own personal weapon, and give himself unprecedented power over agencies like the FCC and FTC. These are just the things he wants you to know about. Trump has plenty of regular crazy stuff in Agenda 47 too, like how he wants to found new freedom cities across the country and somehow give Americans access to flying cars. The whole thing is weird as hell, like everything Trump does, but there's nothing funny about Agenda 47 or the possibility that he might be president again.
Man, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about voting for Donald Trump until now. I kind of like the Agenda 47. What do you guys think? 844-580-WDBO, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. Alan is in Montverde. Do you have you've got a comment about my glasses? Are you going to make an offer to buy my glasses?
Well, yeah, of course, Joe, because you've just sold yourself so short because they were worn by Joe Kelley. Now, I can see Antique Roadshow. These are collector's valuables. They're worth $500. They've only been worn once. I mean, come on, Joe. You know better than that. And then with your national acclaim fame filling in for national talk show hosts, I mean, that's got to be worth an extra zero behind the 500. You know, come on, Joe.
You are very funny. Alan, I love you, brother. Thank you so much, man. That was absolutely awesome.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here.
All right, it's the Presidential Pinger coming up next here on the Joe Kelley Show. All of the stories that you missed while you were at work today. Don't nobody go nowhere. The Joe Kelley Show continues.
Now, from the Bogan Munz and Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz and Munz.
We all have that friend who wakes up early to go get everyone McDonald's breakfast while the rest of us sleep in. This is your sign to thank them. And if you're that friend, this is us saying thank you.
Just a friendly reminder that right now, get any size iced coffee before 11 a.m. for just 99 cents. And a satisfying sausage McMuffin with egg is just $2.79. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk.
Hey, DBO, I've got a quick question. Biden is doing all this tuition relief type thing. Why hasn't anybody brought up do 2 or 3 years in the military and you have your college paid for you? You've got the GI Bill, you've got a skill, you get life experience, you become a better citizen by doing it.
Right. Yeah, but except it's not retroactive, all right? We're not talking about people who are thinking about going to college. We're not talking about paying off their student loan debt. We're talking about people who went to college 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. We're talking about people that have already done it. So the GI Bill is not retroactive. They can't have, graduated with a degree with $200,000 in debt and then say, I'm going to go into the military to get this debt paid off. It just doesn't work that way.
Just clocked out? Let's rewind. Here's what you missed while you were at work.
What else we had in the Presidential Pinger? Donald Trump says abortion should be left to the states, avoiding taking a position on the number of weeks at which the procedure should be banned. Actor Jonathan Majors will not serve any jail time after a jury found him guilty last year of assaulting and harassing his ex-girlfriend. Laurel, Jonathan Majors, I got to tell you, I have not been as excited about a new actor, as I had been about Jonathan Majors in a very, very long time. That guy was such a compelling actor, whether it was in the boxing movies, Creed, or in the Marvel movies. That guy was a big, up-and-coming superstar.
Okay, now for me, who's a little movie illiterate, was in the Marvel movie that explains Rocket the Raccoon's background. Is he the bad guy?
No, he's Kang. He's Kang the Conqueror.
Okay.
He was the one that was in the Loki spinoff on Disney Plus. And then in Creed, he was the guy that like grew up with Creed but fought him. But he's such a diverse actor, such range, such a compelling actor that turned out to evidently just be a terrible person. And I feel that that's acting's loss, but IIWII, it is what it is. The guy's apparently just an all-around bad person. I wonder if he'll recover. I wonder if he'll ever be back in film again. But
they say he's in therapy and stuff, so maybe.
Maybe. He is certainly a compelling actor, but that does not make an excuse for beating someone up, especially a woman. Donald Trump's legal team appeals a gag order on the former president, seeks a change of venue before the Manhattan hush money trial is set to begin. Donald Trump says sues the judge in his hush money case in an effort to delay the trial. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu escalates his pledge to invade the southern Gaza city of Rafah, where roughly 1.4 million civilians are currently seeking shelter. President Biden announces a large-scale student debt relief that could help millions of Americans and rally young voters. Aha! That's the New York Times. That's how they phrase that. That could help rally young voters. Yes, they're admitting this is a vote-buying scheme on behalf of the Biden administration. And the governing body for athletics for mostly small colleges announces a policy that essentially bans transgender athletes from women's sports. It's 10:30. We're going to have more details about that as the winning coach from the Lady Gamecocks is down for transgender women playing in the NCAA women's basketball. We'll get into that coming up straight ahead. Stay with us here on the Joe Kelley Show.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz. This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Connected to our community. Talk local issues and events with Joe Kelley. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let Joe know what interests you. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
All right, Laurel, I want to jog your memory here a little bit. Do you remember, now let's go way back, way back. Do you remember last Friday of last week?
Somewhat.
You do, okay. Do you remember that there was an earthquake Friday?
Yeah, the New Yorkers and New Jersey people.
Right. So we got a report now that a Pennsylvania man was in the middle of getting a vasectomy on Friday when the earthquake hit. He said that he was about 10 minutes into his 20-minute surgery when the whole room started shaking. He thought it was maybe caused by a nearby train until the surgeon said, "Are we having an earthquake?" He thought it was a joke or something at first. But can you imagine having a vasectomy? Well, I mean, you can't imagine that.
I was like, not actually, but sort of.
But how terrible that would be to be having a vasectomy when suddenly everything starts rattling. Doc, hold on to that scalpel real tight, please. Totally pivot here. I love doing laundry. I did our laundry over the weekend. Who does laundry at your house?
Everybody does their own.
Really?
And I am infamously bad at folding the laundry once it's clean.
Oh, my gosh. See, I love doing laundry. I know it sounds weird, but to me, there's something spiritual about doing laundry. It represents a new beginning. It represents a fresh start. And so I genuinely love to do laundry. And when I had that back surgery a while back, I was not supposed to lift anything. So my wife was doing the laundry and I'm like, oh, this really drives me nuts. Not that she does it wrong. It's just it drives me nuts because I want to do the laundry. And I am pretty particular about it. And I fold things a certain way and I wash things a certain way and I'm pretty good at it. But I saw this TikTok tip, if you will, a laundry expert. She goes by Mommy Life Squad on TikTok. She says that if you want to avoid wrinkles in your clothing, and I have a clothing press. I don't use an iron. I have a clothes press like you would find at a dry cleaner's. And honestly, I wish I could do an endorsement for clothing presses. I love my clothing press. I haven't used an iron in years, decades maybe. So I press my clothes rather than iron it. And it is so much easier and faster to press clothes than it is to iron clothes, especially if you're doing like a T-shirt. T-shirts don't iron well, but you can press them really fast. And so I'm always looking to get, wrinkles. I don't like wrinkles. I'll press my pants. I'll press my T-shirts. I'll press everything so I don't have wrinkles. I don't like to look wrinkly. So she has this tip. She says that when you put your clothes in the dryer 10 minutes before it gets to the end of the cycle, 10 minutes before it gets to the end of the dryer cycle, throw some ice cubes into your dryer. And she shows like a scoop that you would have like at the hotel when you get ice out of the ice machine. She has a scoop like that, and she shows putting a scoop of ice cubes into the dryer for the last 10 minutes. And she guarantees that everything will be 100% wrinkle-free. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever even heard of that?
I've heard of that, yes. I've never tried it because, frankly, dryers are liars when it says how much time is left on it. They'll be like, it's 3 minutes left, and then it goes on for another 15 minutes. So right. I feel like it's hard to time that, but I have heard about the ice cube trick before.
So I'm going to put that aside because I'm going to try that. Unfortunately, there is not one single article of dirty clothes at our house right now because I washed everything, I folded everything, and I put everything away. So it was a great weekend for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though the weather was spectacular this weekend, I stayed in and did some laundry, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. So the women played their NCAA basketball. There was a championship, and everybody got all excited about it. I'm not here to talk about that. The head coach of the Lady Gamecocks, South Carolina, they were the ones that won the NCAA championship. She was asked in a post-game news conference by somebody from Outkick, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't Outkick a sporting website that is gay and lesbian centered? Isn't that what Outkick is?
I am none of the above things you just said, so I have no idea.
Well, I'm pretty sure Outkick has something to do with homosexuality, content, that kind of stuff. So anyhow, some reporter from Outkick asked Don Staley, the Gamecocks coach, about whether or not biological males should be allowed to play in NC2A women's basketball. Here's her response.
One of the major issues facing women's sports right now is the discussion topic about the inclusion of transgender athletes, biological males, in women's sports. I was wondering if you would tell me your position on that issue.
She grabs her cup, takes a big long sip.
Damn, you got deep on me, didn't you? I'm under the opinion of if you're a woman, you should play. If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports or vice versa, you should be able to play. That's my opinion. You want me to go deeper?
Do you think transgender women should be able to participate?
That's your question. You want
basketball?
Me to ask? I mean, you want to ask, so I'll give you that. Yes.
Can you even believe that? And I say this with as much empathy or sympathy as I can for someone who identifies as trans. I don't hate people who identify as trans. In fact, I feel for them and I pray for them. But to be a coach of that caliber, of an NCAA national championship winning basketball team, and you're put on the spot, you could tell by how long she paused that she didn't have an answer to that, meaning she hasn't contemplated that, almost like she was caught off guard by that question. I can't believe that she hadn't been asked that question before. I can't believe she hadn't pondered that thought before. I'm told, and I haven't heard the audio, but I'm told that Caitlin Clark, who was the Iowa girl that has won all the championships, she's won all the title, I don't know. She's phenomenal. But she was asked the same question, and she also said that she believes transgender women should be allowed to play in women's basketball. So that means men. Do they not understand how that would change the sport? Are they... Do you think that they are saying, yes, I support men playing in women's sports because they're too afraid to say no? Do you think that that's just fear, or do you think that they really feel that way, that, yeah, bring it on. Let men play in the NC2A Women's Basketball League. 844-580-WDBO, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. I think it is lunacy. I think you're catering to people with mental illness, but that's not polite to say. It's not politically correct to say. Use the open mic right now in the WDBO app. Check out the Joe Kelley Show podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. For 100 years, we've been your voice, your source, your heartbeat. From the roaring 20s to the digital age, we've been there for it all. Happy 100th anniversary. WDBO, where history and headlines meet.
Woo, thank you so much for joining us here on the Joe Kelley Show. My eyes hurt, I think, from looking at the eclipse. I am selling my glasses, only been used once. If you'd like to buy those, you can call me. They're super duper cheap. Let's go to Mike in Harmony. Hey, Mike, you're on the Joe Kelley Show. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, Joe? Long time no talk to.
Glad you called.
Listen, on this transgender issue, nah, they can't do that. They cannot participate in women's sports because the body chemistry is totally different.
I know that, and you know that, but we still see women competing, or rather, men competing in women's sports. I mean, it's happening.
Yeah, I know it is. But see, what they need to do is they need to put a different category. Transgenders compete against transgenders, if that's what they want to do. But to compete in regular women's sports, it ain't going to happen because they always wind up winning.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if there's enough trans women that could make up an entire basketball team, much less a league. But yes, Mike, something has to be done. And you know, Riley Gaines, I think, is a wonderful spokesperson for this. And it's not about hating on trans people. It's about what's fair for female athletes. I mean, especially on the collegiate level. These are girls that are competing for scholarships. There are a limited amount of scholarship opportunities. And suddenly, if you've got men that are competing as women, I mean, they're potentially taking scholarships that were meant for women.
Exactly. And let me tell you, with all due respect to the transgender community and the LGBTQ community, because I do respect them. I don't believe in what they're doing, but I respect them. But on the transgender issue, they cannot compete with women because they can't. Women are always going to wind up losing.
Yeah, they're going to hurt. They're going to hurt them, especially in team sports. We've seen it we've seen it in high school basketball, where these little, these high school girls are getting beaten up by bigger, stronger men on the court with them. And if this happens on a collegiate level, it is going to change the dynamic of the game forever. Mike, I'm so glad you called. Thank you, brother. Drive safely this afternoon, 844-580-WDBO, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. This as the coach of the Lady Gamecocks that just won the NCAA National Championship, Dawn Staley, says that she would say yes to having men play on the women's teams.
Okay, Joe, here's my theory, and it's just a theory. I think the reason she paused was because she had thought about it a lot, and she believes what most people do, but she, in that moment, froze and wanted to say what was popular and didn't want to get the backlash. That's my theory.
And, and that may be the case. And I thought about that. I didn't know how she was going to answer that. So I was listening to it, in real time. And I thought, man, if you don't have an answer for that, then to me, the appropriate thing to say would be, you know what? I'm here to coach my team, and I will let the league officials decide those matters, and I will deal with, whatever comes my way. But I would so much more respect her and others like her if they would just say, you know what, I don't have an opinion on this. I'm going to stay out of this, rather than just giving the politically correct answer of, oh, yeah, I think it would be great to have men playing in a women's league.
Hey, Joe, it's actually pretty simple. Until it actually affects them directly, they'll continue to give that same answer. But let it affect them directly. Put a man on the court with them, or put a man on the opposing team, and then let's go back and check the answers.
Yeah, absolutely so.
Maybe that coach from women's coach basketball, whatever, has somebody in mind to be the first transgender on their team. Maybe it's somebody like 6'8", 250 pounds.
See, it's funny. I had a discussion with somebody before the show today, and we were just kind of bouncing around. This is what we do. Before the show, we'll just kind of throw out some of these topics to one another, and we bounce things around. And that came up, that, maybe the coach knows a transgender player that she could recruit to her team. But I said, maybe the coach doesn't. And maybe the coach is not thinking this through very well, because that's, 6'8", 250-pound dude who's identifying as a woman could end up on the opposing team. Imagine if he played with Caitlin Clark on Iowa's team. The outcome of the game would have likely been very, very different. And I think I'm so terrible at cliches, but I think I'm using this one right. Cutting off your nose to spite your face. And I think that is what the coach would be doing in that particular scenario. We also have some people taking issue with me enjoying doing laundry.
Joe, you know I love you, but you are definitely a laundry basket case.
Well, yes, that may be the...
Joe, please tell me you're not going to be playing on a women's basketball team next. You like that laundry too much.
I do.
That sounded a little shady.
I do like laundry, but if it makes it any better, I feel the same way about doing yard work. To me, mowing the yard is the same thing. It's very therapeutic for me to mow the yard. It's a fresh start. It's a new beginning. The exact same as laundry. So it's not exclusive to laundry. I feel the same way doing yard work. I'm Joe Kelley. We'll continue.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz. WDBO Orlando. WOEX FM HD2 Orlando. W297BB Orlando. Powered by Talon Wealth Management. Visit guardingyournestegg.com. Listen everywhere with the WDBO app, a Cox Media Group station. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz. This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Insightful.
You tell the truth from your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Yeah, I know. I do too. I do too, Ronald. I do too. Right as I go on the air, Ronald says, I hate you. I'm like, yeah, I know. I get it. I just told Ronald right as we go on the air, I said, I'm going to play some audio here, but I've not previewed it. I don't think there's any cuss words, but we'll have to listen closely to this. So if you're just joining us here on the Joe Kelley Show, let me just kind of back it up for a second. So the coach from the South Carolina Gamecocks was asked after the game whether or not, well, here, I'll just play the audio and you can hear it for yourself. So this is Coach Don Staley.
One of the major issues facing women's sports right now is the discussion topic about the inclusion of transgender athletes, biological males, in women's sports. I was wondering if you would tell me your position on that issue.
She drinks from a cup there on the table. Takes her time.
You got deep on me, didn't you? I'm under the opinion of if you're a woman, you should play. If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports or vice versa, you should be able to play. That's my opinion. You want me to go deeper?
Do you think transgender women should be able to participate?
That's your question. You want
basketball?
Me to ask? I mean, you want to ask, so I'll give you that. Yes.
All right. So now Dave Hookstead, who is also with Outkick, is now trying to make her put her money where her mouth is. He wants. Well, here I'll let him explain. This is David Hookstead from Outkick.
Make no mistake, if men are allowed to start playing women's college basketball is going to be over. Let's take, for example, Bronny James. Bronny James averaged 4.8 points per game this past year at USC. If Bronny James claimed to be a woman and suited up after averaging 4.8 points per men and played against the women, he'd average, 60, 70, 80 points a game? He would, if he played one-on-one against Caitlin Clark wouldn't be able to score, and he would score every time he touched the ball. Men, it's simple science, it's simple biology. Men are bigger, stronger, faster. We have better bone density. The muscles of men are simply, it's easier to get stronger. It's easier to get bigger. We're taller. These are facts. You can disagree with them, but they are facts.
So now this guy, Dave Hookstead, is making an offer. He says he will set aside $100,000 of his own money to pay 5 guys to join a women's Division I basketball team that gets a game against South Carolina. So it's $20,000 per guy, 100% real. If 5 legit male basketball players can find a way onto a team that has a game against South Carolina, he says he'll make sure the NIL money is there. That's name, image, likeness money. So getting paid $20,000 in NIL cash is much more than guys at the end of the benches make. So you could even, wouldn't have to be Bronny James type caliber. It could be the bench sitters who could join a Division I women's basketball team and take part of this cash. 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app. To me, it's just lunacy. It is a suicide pact. If you are the NCAA national championship winning basketball coach, Don Staley, and you're saying, yes, men should be able to play NC2A women's basketball, you are committing suicide for women's basketball. It's over for women's basketball.
Transgenders are mentally ill. If you are a man and you think you are a woman, you are mentally ill.
You know, and that's why I have compassion for people who identify as trans. And look, we've seen, the studies that have come out that say that most people who identify as trans outgrow it into their 20s. Well, in college basketball, a lot of people are still in their young 20s. They haven't outgrown that phase of life. You know what word you never hear anymore? Tomboy. Tomboys. Do you remember, Laurel, were you ever a tomboy? You were like a tomboy, right?
I sure was, to the fact where I was about 13 or 14 and I'd make my mom buy me boys' shorts from Walmart because the girls were too short and it made me feel uncomfortable. And as a 13-year-old, I was uncomfortable in my body. So I was wearing boys' clothing. I'm sure nowadays they'd be saying that I needed to go get some kind of surgery of some kind.
Yes.
But I was just uncomfortable and I grew out of it.
Right. Yes. That's exactly it. And honestly, I do you hear the word tomboy very often anymore?
No, not at all.
I mean, that used to be common vernacular when I was a kid growing up. We would all know a girl or two that was on the block or that went to school with us. We're like, oh, she's a tomboy. Never once in calling a girl a tomboy did we mean she wants to have her own penis someday. We just meant that she liked to roll around in the dirt like the rest of us guys. That she liked to wear clothes like dudes wore. But there's a difference. You outgrow being a tomboy. But you're right, Laurel. These days they would take you in and want to have surgery and want to chemically castrate you or chest bind you or tuck or put you in therapy to convert you to the other gender. And it's crazy. This, as the Vatican released a doctrine today, a 20-page declaration. They issued their Infinite Dignity Declaration. It's been in the works for 5 years. And it has now been approved by the Pope. It rejects gender theory or the idea that one's gender can be changed. It says that God created man and woman as biologically different, separate beings, and that we must not tinker with that plan or try to make oneself God. It follows that any sex change intervention as a rule risks threatening the unique dignity that a person has received from the moment of conception. It does distinguish between sex change surgeries, which it rejects, with genital abnormalities that are sometimes present at birth or develop later in life. These abnormalities can be resolved with the help of healthcare professionals, the Vatican says. So even, not that this is a big surprise, but even the Vatican is saying sex changes are ridiculous. Oddly, we've got people that still want to talk about me doing laundry. Let's go to John in DeLand. Hey, John, how are you?
Boy, Joe, that was quite a segue going from deformed
I know.
to laundry.
I should have announced it. Pivot. We got a pivot here.
That's okay. That was like a fast-breaking basketball. But
yeah.
Hey, Joe, okay, so listen, I'm not going to call you psychotic for loving to do laundry. I know that, we all have our weird quirks.
We do.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So we moved to DeLand just a few years ago from the Orlando area, and we sold a bunch of stuff, got a new washer and dryer at Home Depot, GE, and that dryer is it's 3 years old. It's practically brand new, and it is the worst piece of junk we have ever had. what would you recommend? You being the laundry connoisseur that you are, tell me a good dryer we should get.
You know what's really interesting, John, is anybody who bought a dryer back in the 1970s or 1980s, even though they were the best. And even though they didn't have all the bells and whistles, they didn't have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capability, they didn't make all the bings and the bongs, those were the kind of machines that lasted forever and they got the job done.
Brother.
Today's washers and dryers are terrible. They do a terrible job. I get what they call pills on our clothes, which drive me nuts. And that's just like little balls of either cotton or, in my case, I think it's cat fur. That you get on your shirts and your sweaters, and you have to like shave them off. John, I don't know. I wish I had a good recommendation. I think that'd be one of the things we could ask the experts on the weekends.
Do you have a good dryer at home that you like?
No, I don't. And we're renting, so we don't own it, and so we're kind of stuck with whatever we got. In the hang on. So our producer Ronald is. Every day is checking out Consumer Reports. He subscribes to Consumer Reports, and he says that the top dryers are LG brands.
Oh, okay.
And
I've been told to avoid LG refrigerators, but the dryer. Huh?
Yeah, he's looking it up right now on Consumer Reports, and they have the best rating LG dryers do on Consumer Reports. So
no kidding. Or maybe I'll just go to that Appliance Direct, that Chinese guy that always has a broken arm, and just buy one from 1975 or something. That'll probably work better than the new one.
There's so much there. All right, John, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I don't know if he's Chinese, and I didn't know there was something wrong with his arm. Is there something wrong with his arm?
And for a while, it was his eye. He wore an eye patch.
What?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How have I never noticed that? All right. And then, again, pivot. Let's go to, is it Lovo out in Merritt Island? Hey, Lovo, how are you?
Doing good. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
Good. And you want to talk about Boeing?
Yes, sir. The thing is, now, first of all, I am not talking for Boeing. I'm not a representative of Boeing.
Got it.
But I do work for Boeing.
Okay.
And there's plenty of articles right now out about Boeing airplanes falling out of the sky.
Oh, yeah, right.
You even reported on it. The thing is, after the airplane is sold to a commercial airline, it's on the commercial airline to keep up the maintenance. It's out of Boeing's hands after that. So when cowlings fall off of airplanes, that's not Boeing's fault. That would be the maintenance department. That would be the inspectors. That would be the mechanics and the technicians.
No doubt, and that's why that is one of the reasons why the NTSB and the FAA are on top of Southwest Airlines and Delta Airlines in particular for their maintenance. But yes, the door plug that blew out, the belief there is there were bolts missing from the manufacturer, from Boeing.
And that is possible too. I got to admit, like I said, I'm not a spokesperson for Boeing, but we do have DEI, and that could happen.
You think DEI would cause bolts to not get installed properly?
Don't even get me started on DEI. Oh, my goodness.
All right, Lovo. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your call. 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. We'll get more of your calls and comments. Coming up here, you're listening to The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, The Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
We were talking earlier about President Biden is going to be doing some more vote buying. They're not even hiding the fact that it is vote buying. as they're trying to rally young voters to the polls, and they're going to be vote buying by paying off their college debt to the tunes of billions and billions of dollars.
There's an awful lot of outrage on the student loan debt. Where's the outrage that our money, the same money, but more money, is going to bringing illegal immigrants into the United States, resettling them, paying for their housing, meals, medical, education, lawyers, which they shouldn't even have any rights here, but they do.
Yeah, look, we can have outrage on two different fronts at the same time. We are capable of walking and chewing gum at the same time. And you are if you're outraged by the immigration crisis that we're dealing with right now, you are not going to like what I'm about to tell you. So it has now been revealed that the number of people currently living in the United States with temporary protected status has more than doubled following expansions of the program by the Biden administration. The Pew Research Center finds that nearly 1.2 million people are either eligible for or receiving TPS, temporary protected status, making that group 5.5% of all non-citizen immigrants in the United States. 1.2 million of them. When Donald Trump says that he is going to have the largest ever deportation program mobilized that mankind has ever seen, there's going to be a whole lot of what we would consider to be illegal immigrants or illegal aliens that are not going to be able to be deported. And these are an example, the 1.2 million people who fall under the temporary protected status. These people have legal rights in the United States. I'm telling you, you're not going to like to hear any of this. Immigrants from certain countries that are deemed unsafe to return to for reasons varying from terrorism, political conditions, violence, economic concerns, natural disasters, whatever the case may be, they are given the ability to legally reside and work in the United States for a period of 18 months. While those who wish to become permanent residents or citizens still have to go through the proper channels like everybody else, TPS can be renewed indefinitely. Donald Trump tried to nix the program altogether so that there was no TPS, temporary protected status. But Biden has expanded the list. That is, the list of countries, the list that are considered to be TPS. The list originally was El Salvador, Haiti, Honduras, Nepal, Nicaragua, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Since the Biden administration has taken over, they've added Afghanistan, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Myanmar, Ukraine, and Venezuela. The number of people from Venezuela taking advantage of the program has grown to nearly 500,000. And I don't need to tell you, because you're smart, you know this, you follow the news. There have been several high-profile cases of Venezuelan immigrants committing heinous crimes, such as the murder of Laken Riley, the Georgia nursing student. And TPS beneficiaries are currently living in all 50 states, D.C., and the U.S. territories throughout the largest populations. The biggest populations of TPS, temporary protected status, are in New York, Texas, California, and Florida. TPS applicants must prove that they lived in the U.S. continuously since fleeing their home countries. They have to pass a criminal record check. They can't have practiced terrorism or be convicted of any felonies or more than one misdemeanor. The program allows Biden to bypass Congress and decide for himself which countries should be included. The legislation was passed by the Bush administration in 1990. So even if, or even when, Donald Trump is elected president and mobilizes what he says is going to be the biggest deportation effort that the world has ever seen, it is going to be tough for immigration officials to separate the wheat from the chaff, if you will, because there are a lot of people, asylum seekers, and that's beyond the temporary protected status. That's not even counting asylum seekers. So there are, and it's easy for us to just lump everybody in together under the umbrella of illegal aliens. And for a lot of us, that would make sense. But regrettably, not all of them are illegal. I only say regrettably in that they can't be deported. These 1.2 million foreign nationals living in the United States under Biden's temporary amnesty program cannot be deported. 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app. I'm Joe Kelley. You're listening to WDBO.
Now, from the Bogan Munz and Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz and Munz. This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk, WDBO.
Laura, would you agree? Would you agree that during the height of the eclipse today, that it felt a little bit cooler?
Yes, most certainly.
I thought so too. Seemed like it cooled off just a smidge. You are our official Disney correspondent, our theme park correspondent. And this happened last week, and I didn't get a chance to bring it up last week, but I wanted to make sure I address this. This dude gets into a fight at the Bellevue Lounge, a bar inside Disney's Boardwalk Inn. Have you ever been to the Bellevue Lounge?
I don't think so. I love the Boardwalk area, but I've not been to everything on it.
I haven't been to the Boardwalk in a long time, actually. And it's kind of like, I want to say it's kind of like a hidden treasure. It's kind of like Disney Springs, but not everybody knows about it. Not everybody goes there because there's, you got to get past the parking gate. Whereas at Disney Springs, there's no parking gate.
Right, precisely.
Well, some guy got in a fight at that bar. The guy's name is Brent George. He was arrested and charged with 4 counts of battery after the incident. It happened on January 25th, so it happened a few months ago. We're just now hearing about it. 61-year-old guy was intoxicated at the bar after downing 3 shots of bourbon and a beer. Isn't that a song?
It's probably a country song somewhere.
Sounds like a song. So this guy allegedly made his way to a table of 4 guests and started making fun of a woman with Down syndrome. Man. You know, they say, you've heard it said, I'm sure, that when you drink alcohol, it brings out your true character. You know, the real person that you are. Look, what kind of degenerate scumbag must you be that when you start to drink, you're going to go make fun of people with Down syndrome? There just aren't words for that. So the girl with Down syndrome, her mother confronted Brent George and asked him, "Are you making fun of my daughter?" And that's when George is said to have stood up and shoved her twice. He then slapped another guest at the table in the face when she tried to intervene. So here he is pushing around a woman and slapping another woman. The husband of the woman who was slapped got involved. and George allegedly punched him in the neck. George was then punched in the head by the husband, and then some unnamed bystander grabbed George and removed him from the scene. Cops showed up. He was treated by medical staff and then transported to the Orange County Jail. What a despicable person. I mean, I could understand infants perhaps saying, "Mommy, why does that person look different or do this or do that?" But to be a grown man, this guy's 61 years old. What kind of just terrible, terrible person must you be to be 61 years old and your personality gets heightened when you're drinking, and that personality mocks someone with Down syndrome? I'm sorry. I think Down syndrome, people with Down are the most special amongst us. And it just tears at me to think that someone thought it was a good idea to make fun of somebody with Down syndrome. Assuming he did all those things, I hope he is convicted of the highest possible penalties. By the way, Orange County Public Schools announced some changes for today, this and the death of Maddie Soto. That's good. You'll recall that Madeline Soto was the teenage girl that was supposed to be dropped off at school in the morning by the mother's boyfriend. They never made it to school. So the mother didn't know that she should have been looking for her daughter and her boyfriend until well after school was out, because Orange County Public Schools didn't notify her that she was missing from school. So starting today, there is a new notification system at the school. Additional calls to parents whose students are not in attendance, starting with first period, when teachers are now encouraged to enter the attendance. This will be in addition to follow-up in the afternoon if the students are out a full day. So this is a big shift from the policy where teachers had a 3 p.m. deadline to enter the attendance. Maddie's mom says she didn't get a call until around 6 p.m. the day of her disappearance. You think the boyfriend took the daughter to school? And you don't find out until 6 p.m. that night that wasn't the case. That could have been the crucial time needed to be able to find her before she was killed. Maddie never made it to school that day. The school district also says that is not the end of the changes that they're going to be making. They're working on a system for next year to allow parents to see their child's absence the moment a teacher enters it online. Those changes for real-time updates would be for students in elementary and secondary levels, period by period. With today's modern technology, with facial recognition software, I know facial recognition software scares some people. It seems terribly intrusive. But I would think in a scenario like that it might come in handy. That might be slightly advantageous. We're talking about the 1.2 million temporary protected status illegal immigrants in the United States. We got some open mics about that. And we'll have that for you coming up next. You can join us at 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz. Now, the 3 big things you need to know. Powered by Hard Rock Bet.
3,
There's a winner in the $1 billion Powerball jackpot. Lottery officials say a single ticket in Oregon matched all 6 numbers in Saturday's drawing and is worth an estimated $1.3 billion. Powerball says it's the 4th largest jackpot in the history of the game. Maryland Governor Wes Moore will visit Capitol Hill this week to discuss funding for reconstructing the Francis Scott Key Bridge. In an appearance on CBS, Moore said he doesn't know just yet what the cost will be to rebuild the bridge and reopen the Port of Baltimore. Gaza is on the verge of famine. World Food Program Executive Director Cindy McCain sounded the alarm on the humanitarian situation in Gaza in an appearance on CNN. McCain said the WFP has food for 1.1 million people for 3 months on the border of Gaza, but challenges remain about getting the food in.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Talk and discussion on the latest breaking national news.
Crude oil prices continue to fall.
Local news.
You're not going to have Disney have its own government in Central Florida.
And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on the Joe Kelley Show.
We were talking earlier about transgender athletes, and I had mentioned, we don't hear the word tomboy anymore because if someone identifies as a tomboy, someone else will step up and say, oh, well, that is clearly a girl that wants to be a boy. And I said, and oftentimes, and Laurel is a prime example of this, you kind of outgrow being a tomboy. Well, here's someone who didn't outgrow it.
Hey, I don't think being a tomboy. So I'm 60. I don't think I've grown out of being a tomboy. I prefer pants or shorts to dresses. I like to feel pretty. I'm heterosexual, but I like working in the dirt and playing outside.
Yeah, yep, I get that. We also were talking about laundry. We've a very wide variety of topics here today. We're talking about throwing ice in the dryer. Some TikToker says if you throw ice cubes into your dryer in the last 10 minutes or so, you won't have wrinkled clothes.
Hey, Joe, your dryer hack makes sense because I have an LG with a steam function, so that'd be pretty much the same thing as just steaming your clothes, get out the wrinkles.
Oh, that is interesting. I don't have a steam function on mine. We're also talking about TPS, temporary protected status, of some 1.2 million of the immigrants that are in the United States. I can't refer to them as illegal immigrants because they have temporary protected status. And they are part of the immigrants that cannot be deported.
Hey, Joe, I have to believe that if elected, Donald Trump has the ability to declare a state of emergency and somehow roll back the protected status, the TPS legislation.
I don't know. It seems unlikely, but Trump will certainly have his hands full with many, 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 many other genuinely illegal aliens.
Hey, Joe, 1.2 million is a far, far cry from 10 million, so still a hard pill to swallow, but a little easier.
Yeah, that is exactly it. He's going to have his hands full for sure. By the way, coming up in the next hour, on the third hour of the Sean Hannity show, I did hear Sean mention that his first guest coming up was going to be Ron DeSantis. So stick around. After 7 o'clock, Governor DeSantis is going to be on with Sean Hannity in just a few minutes. So make sure you stick around for that. Otherwise, make plans, and I hope you have plans now to join us, as we're going to be doing an event with Eric Erickson. It's coming up Thursday, April 18th. That is 10 days away from today. See how quick I am with the math? Today's the 8th. I can do simple math. So that's coming up Thursday, April 18th at 6 p.m. It's at Wekiva Island. If you've never been to Wekiva Island, it is a really special place. It is a lot of fun. You can go kayaking there. Laurel, we used to remarkably do river cleanups there, which I always thought was weird because the river is so clean there.
Yeah, it was more like just a day to go on the kayaks and enjoy the scenery because there was nothing to pick up. It's a wonderful place.
Yeah, our company, Cox Media Group, would do this annual river cleanup there, And we wouldn't go to the dirty rivers. We would go to this pristine, beautiful river there at Wekiva Island, and it was just awesome. And you could quite easily on Thursday, April 18th, come out there and get into a kayak and kayak around. But we're hosting an event called Pints and Politics with Eric Erickson. It is 100% free, open to everybody. We're going to have beer there, obviously, because it's called Pints and Politics. While the event is open to all ages, you must be 21 to drink beer. That's not our rule. That's state law. Sorry. That's the deal. You can get details. Just click on the Pints and Politics button in the WDBO app. It's a free event for everybody. We look forward to seeing you out there on Thursday, April 18th at 6 p.m. I'm Joe Kelley. DeSantis and Hannity coming up next.
Now, from the Bogan.
When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
And get Money Mouth Face emoji with 2 orders of crispy, irresistible 10-piece McNuggets, spicy or classic, for just $6. Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.